The idea is for the design thinking process to be a foundational understanding, but it shouldn't be a limiter to achieving even greater things. Hi everyone, welcome to 10 Minutes of Design with Chinedu Unfiltered. Here, we'll be talking about UX design, product strategy, products people use and how they make them feel, the latest technologies and how it is used by UX designers. All this from a professional, data-driven and personal view, which is undiluted. In this episode, I'll be talking about design processes. Should it be linear? Honestly, I have had this question bugging me at the depth of my soul after an interview I had with the team at one of the big tech companies in Africa. And this question is, should the design process be linear or should it be tailored to the designer's experience? As designers, we pick a particular framework to work with and it's interesting, right? But then, why can't we mix all these frameworks together to get something new and unique? Having a linear design process put things in perspective. It gives you a process you can tick off your to-do list and easily gives you the ability to allocate resources because the process has been tested and trusted. But again, how can we tell that we are doing the right thing because a process is linear? So, it begs the question, should the design process be dynamic? Everything I know about design is dynamic, just as tech is dynamic based on individual product requirements. That is the beauty of the tech industry. Nothing is streamlined to serve a specific purpose, but rather enhance and improve it. I understand the process of the design thinking process and its importance in building user-centric designs, and why it has been so streamlined that it feels like if you don't follow the exact process, you won't arrive at your solution. It is interesting to know that one can go from getting feedback, understanding how people think, and ideating to churning out real product that could help people live a better life, which is the entire goal of the design thinking process anyway. So let's talk a little bit about what the design thinking process is. This consists of 5 different processes, which are namely empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and then test. I know everyone knows this, and most of us follow through with this process, but let me ask a question. Why shouldn't it be this? Define, empathize, prototype, ideate, and test. Does it have to follow such a stiff process, or can we play around with it for a while and see where it takes us? The world is evolving, and the way we seek and find solutions to problems has also evolved. A few years ago, well, this is a personal experience. I was part of a team that participated in an internship. It was rigorous and exciting. We were told to select a particular type of product to design for, and that we should follow a design thinking process, or we should follow the design thinking process, which is part of a design framework. I was very excited about this, and the reason is that I have gone through this process for some time while practicing. So I had everything stored in my head, and I had achieved tremendous success, well, to my capacity anyway. I commenced with empathizing with the users based on the problem statement made available. I created an hypothesis before heading to define, and then the rest of the process followed suit. It was smooth sailing. I had deduced features from my findings from the participants and created the user flow and the user journeys. It was perfect, so I thought. I was so proud of what I had done, especially when the mentees congratulated me for doing a good job with the research. I created my prototype, and that was when the problem started. After I submitted the task, I felt a chill down my spine. The mentors threw all my designs away because my interface wasn't good enough. I was the angriest person that day, honestly. I was so angry because I was confused. I was like, okay, I've done this well, I've done the research well, you've congratulated me on this. But then, because my UI wasn't good enough, does that actually give you the right to just dispose of my design? What if my UI has actually solved the UX issue that you have never actually come across, right? I wasn't sure why this mentor was destroying my work in public. To date, I still am not sure. I still don't have an idea why. However, I was certain that I put a lot of energy into this research aspect, that I didn't have enough time to complete the UI. So I did what I could and submitted. If the mentor had communicated that we should skip some processes and focus more on the UI, it would have been easier. This meant I would be skipping some processes in the design thinking process and just focus my time and energy on the UI. Guess whose work was praised the most? The guy who didn't follow the design thinking process. One bit, but focused more on the UI, and it was a success. Now, he might not have done so well with the research, but he was able to navigate the design thinking process to achieve a particular outcome, which was commendable. Now, back to the big tech company. I tried something different with them. I didn't go through the design thinking process during the interview. I went straight to what problem I solved and how that problem was able to help the users and also help the organization make money. I didn't scale through the next phase of the interview because I didn't present my project based on the design thinking process. According to the interviewer, I should have followed a framework. Well, he's right. Anyway, frameworks are the foundational process to designing a product. But if I didn't understand the framework, how could I have designed a product that made a company millions? Now, do you understand where my dilemma lies? Right? It's such a confusing stuff, right? It's a confusing industry on its own. So this brings me back to the question: should the design thinking process be linear? I believe it shouldn't. The design thinking process should be dynamic. New processes should be introduced, old processes should be eliminated. This is how innovation happens. Anything that doesn't serve an immediate purpose in the process should not be followed. Problem solving isn't about taking off some steps from the list or from a list. Problem solving is about identifying what the core issues are and working hard to solve the problem using any processes available and leveraging on existing frameworks. I have had the opportunity to work on projects that didn't follow the conventional design thinking process, but still arrived at the solution that worked, or projects that skipped processes in the design thinking process and still arrived at the solution. The idea is for the design thinking process to be a foundational understanding, but it shouldn't be a limiter to achieving even greater things. This brings my attention to balance. How do we find balance between the linear process and a dynamic process? We can't throw the entire design framework away, but we can leverage on all of them to achieve our intended goals. So what do we need to understand as a starter, whether we decide to go with the linear approach or the dynamic approach? Number one is understanding the project requirements and complexity. Number two is incorporating feedback loops for continuous improvement. Number three is embracing collaboration and cross-functional communication. With this simplified approach, we can get our job done using any form of UX framework or mixing them up in general. I hope this has been helpful to you. Kindly tune in to my next episode. Till next time, signing out, Chinedu.